Welcome to coming to our live event regarding our Wonders of Brazil itinerary. We're going to give you lots of information about Brazil and our upcoming trip. The co-hosts today are myself, Laura Ham, co-owner of Traverse Journeys, and Megan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. Yes, I work for the local Brazil operator, and in partnership with Traverse Journeys, we're really excited to present some Brazil for you today.
Excellent. Very cool. So a little bit about Traverse Journeys before we dive into all the great information we're going to talk about regarding Brazil. Traverse Journeys has been around for around 7 years, 7-8 years at this point. We provide small group trips across the world, self-guided itineraries as well, and some custom trips. Our tagline, as you can see, people, planet, purpose. And what that means to us is in these 3 branches, we focus on people-centered experiences in the destinations that we go to. We really look to connect with local culture, get our guests, off of the sort of beaten path and surrounded by tourists all the time, and really find ways to connect with local community and support community initiatives, and really learn more in-depth kind of experiences related to local people and culture. And in terms of the planet, we look for beautiful, amazing, gorgeous places to take you on this planet, and we also look to do it in a very sustainable, responsible way that not only decreases negative impacts but also looks to have a positive impact on the places that we visit. So, we do this also by partnering with vendors and accommodations and restaurants and guides and activities where, environmental sustainability is at the forefront of their efforts and the initiatives that they run. And then purpose is kind of ties hand in hand with everything we do, people, planet, and all of it. But, we look at travel as potentially a transformative experience that goes beyond just, checking lists off checking sites off a list, but really looks to see what kind of impact and transformation can come from these experiences. And part of that that we do is that we partner with a local organization in each country that we visit, and we donate a portion of our profits to that organization or initiative, and really look to utilize tourism as a way of creating change both in the traveler and in the destinations that we visit. So that's a little bit about Traverse. And just to give you an idea of the overview for today's event, we'll go over some background information on Brazil and cultural overview. And then we'll dive into the itinerary that we create and run and offer, and what, how we've infused it with our unique Traverse flavor. The different destinations that we'll go over, like Paraty, the Atlantic rainforest, and of course, Iguaçu Falls. We'll talk a little bit about our community partner, and then some safety and travel tips for Brazil, followed by a Q&A. So if you have any questions, save them for the end, and we'll be sure to open it up. And then at the very end, be sure to stick around because we'll go over a discount that'll be available to you for attending or watching today's event. So with a general overview of Brazil geography, I'll hand it over to Megan.
Hello, everyone, once again. I'm really excited to participate. Thanks so much. And we're excited for this itinerary as well. Brazil is a very, very big country. So it's what we like to do is try to focus in, and what we've done with Traverse Journeys is exactly try to pick a spot and really get to know it really well. So this itinerary will be centered near Rio de Janeiro. If you're able to, Laura, thank you very much. Your mouse there. We'll begin in Rio de Janeiro, and then Paraty is just a little bit further down the coast there, and then we'll hop over to Iguaçu Falls to finish it out. Yeah, on the border with Argentina and Paraguay. So just a little snapshot on Brazil. Brazil is a very, very diverse country with a lot of indigenous influences, the original people, I should say, the indigenous cultures, a lot of African influence and European. And this varies a lot by region as well. For example, in the south, you'll see a lot of influence from Northern Europe, whereas in the northeast and the north, a lot more influences from Portugal and even, France. The Portuguese arrived in 1500, so Brazil is the modern day Brazil, I guess I should say, has been, since the arrival of the Europeans, has been quite a long history, not so modern, but it gained its independence in 1822. Until then, it was under the crown of the Portuguese. And today, Brazil has roughly 214 million people, so quite a large and very diversified population. The currency is the real, which today runs about 480 reais to the US dollar, give or take a little bit. 58% of the landmass of Brazil is the Amazon rainforest as well. The language of religion, often a point of confusion. A lot of people think first their mind wanders to Spanish, but Brazil's official language is actually Portuguese, Lusophone, and there's some Spanish, English, German, and quite a lot of indigenous languages as well. But Portuguese, it's always good to know a couple basics if you're going to visit the country. Religion also quite diversified, Roman Catholic, Protestant, quite a lot of different religions as well in the country. So very, very diverse. Brazilian cultures and values. And this is something, I'm originally from Canada. I've been living in Brazil for the last 15 years. So I can say this as a foreigner, how well I was welcomed into the Brazilian culture. And this is true for any visitor. Brazilians have a collective culture. They love to welcome foreigners. They love to greet people, to show them their culture, to teach them a little bit about their traditions and their, dancing, as we see in the photo here, language, whatnot. Very, very relaxed population, especially the dress code, partly due to the weather as well. But then when addressing hierarchy or elderly or with respect, then they tend to use a little bit more formal language. Yeah. And this will Laura, I believe, is.
Yeah, sorry, I'm keeping myself muted because, of course, they decided to do some lawn work this morning. So yes, some of the things that sets this itinerary apart from all of the other types of Brazil trips you might see out there. At Traverse, we try to focus on a slower pace of travel, meaning that, we're not jam packing your day from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day. We like to infuse some free time, some downtime, some time to soak it all up. And, make sure that you're getting enough time in each place as much as possible to soak it up. And as I spoke about, local connections and immersive people-to-people experiences, we look to avoid mass tourism. So we travel in shoulder season months, meaning not in the height of high season months, but still with the sort of good weather or good options available there. And we have a lot of things that we look to infuse the trip with environmental sustainability, and whether that's hotels that conserve water and have eco-conscious practices, organic restaurants, farm to table meals, and we look at ways that we can create a slightly unique route while also including some of the big highlights such as Iguaçu Falls. So we look at, okay, let's go to Iguaçu Falls, but how can we do it in a more unique way and allow more time and give you an experience at Iguaçu Falls that's beyond the sort of cookie cutter experience. And yeah, infusing nature into all of our itineraries, really, because it's such a beautiful way to connect and slow down and really feel into the location and geography where you are. So those are some of the values and qualities that we infuse into our all our trips at Traverse. This one, we have a really wide array of cultural experiences to reflect the wide array of cultural that exists in Brazil. So we were able in these different regions to connect with indigenous tribes and other, historically significant cultural touch points in those areas, the fishing villages on the Joatinga Peninsula. We do some island hopping in Paraty and tour and taste at a cachaca distillery. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing these words correctly, Megan. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, the ecotourism experience in the Joatinga region is quite a unique element that you won't see reflected in a lot of your standard Brazil itineraries out there. And when we go to Iguaçu Falls, we will connect with a local biologist or someone that is going to be talking a lot about the really unique flora and fauna of the region. And the Guarani indigenous culture in that region as well will be able to share an afternoon and a meal and learn about their traditions. So yeah, some really unique highlights in this Brazil trip for you. So the basics of the trip are 7 nights in 3 or 4 star boutique hotels. You arrive to Rio and have your transfer from the Rio airport included, and then depart and then have your airport domestic flight included to Iguaçu Falls essentially. And then all of your ground transportation, of course, between all the destinations is included. You'll have guided visits, 2 days at the Iguaçu Falls, in the Quilombola community in Paraty, and on the Puente Negra sort of fishing village region. The boat hopping tour in Paraty, and lots of meals, daily breakfasts, 4 dinners, and we'll go into some of those a little bit later because there's some very unique dinner experiences, and 2 of your lunches. So yeah, let's dive into the trip. You can see now that map where we were kind of indicating the route of this trip is outlined a little bit here for you. So it's just a small section of a very massive country. So we're just, biting off as much as we can chew. So yeah, as we go into the days, I'll let Megan take over again.
Yeah, I should mention that Brazil is such a large country. I've lived there for 15 years and still haven't seen it all, but I think really the best way to visit is the way that Traverse Journeys has set this up, because it's a way to really spend a lot of time with the local people, and that allows you to take away a much better understanding of Brazil than hopping around the country. So as Laura just mentioned, the arrival is.
I just want to apologize for the typo with Rio de Janeiro. There's a misspelling there, so acknowledge.
I hadn't even noticed. Yeah. Arrival into Rio de Janeiro. The group will be met by a private, wonderful English-speaking guide that's worked for many years in the region, and she'll actually be accompanying the group throughout the entire trip to Brazil, over to Paraty, and then on to Iguaçu Falls. So that's an important element as well to ensure that, because there's a level of continuity with the guide. We'll have a lovely welcome dinner at an exclusive restaurant. There are many in Rio de Janeiro. We've selected, I believe it's a churrascaria, if I'm not mistaken, the Brazilian, not to be missed. Even for vegetarians, there are a lot of wide range of options. Brazilian barbecue with very, very extensive salad side. And depending on what time, maybe a little bit of downtime to relax as well, with accommodations in Rio. So just a little comment as well I should make is Rio de Janeiro, anyone who really wants to see the city can go a few days early, but as Laura already mentioned, the focus is really getting away from those cookie cutters. So not much time spent in Rio, immediately on to Paraty. Paraty is a beautiful old colonial town. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, big block, concrete sort of stone walkways surrounded by the Atlantic rainforest. Just such a stunning, beautiful setting. Great restaurants, really, really interesting history. At one point, it was the main port city to export gold from the mines of Minas Gerais to Portugal. So if anyone has ever been to Portugal and sees the churches covered in gold, a lot of it, came or it passed through Paraty at some point. Here, the group will take a beautiful walking tour through the town, and then in the evening, today, I believe we have the cooking class. Sorry, Laura, just maybe. Oh, there's some more pictures of Paraty, so you can see the beautiful setting there, right on the
Sorry, I think
coastline.
it's the next day that we do the cooking class in Paraty.
I'm
But yeah.
sorry about that, Laura, and sorry, apologies to everyone. So yeah, the first day is just getting situated in Paraty, enjoying a little bit
Maybe
of
the
the.
cooking class is the first day. Yeah, that's correct, actually.
Oh, okay, yes. But yeah, so a good way to get situated in Paraty and taste some more Brazilian delicacies with and get your hands wet a little bit, learning how to make them, so you can go home and or your travelers can go home and then replicate as well. Paraty being on the coast and surrounded by the beautiful Atlantic rainforest, a boat tour is a must to explore the region as well. So the next day we'll have a full day of Paraty island hopping with lots of opportunities to swim and snorkel if you're interested, or if your travelers are interested, some beautiful, just clear, sort of turquoisey water, stunning sunset, settings, I meant to say. Sunsets are also beautiful, but got mixed up in my words there. But yes, and there will also be a stop at the Maria Isabel Cachaça Distillery. So cachaça is Brazil's main distilled beverage, produced from sugarcane, but unlike rum, it's not so sweet. It's the production process is slightly different. So you'll learn a little bit about that, get to try some as well. So pretty exciting second day. On the fourth day, then we'll go into the Joatinga Reserve. And this area is really, really just beautiful, stunning, wonderful hikes into the rainforest. So we're Paraty being a mixture of rainforest and coastline. Then you've got the one day exploring by boat, sort of looking into the rainforest. And then the next day you're in the rainforest looking out into the ocean to understand a little bit better. The hike from Laranjas to Ponta Negra is just fascinating, with wonderful views to the top of Ponta Negra. There's a top of the peak, the Sugarloaf Peak, where you get some beautiful views. And then at Ponta Negra Beach, there'll be some time as well to swim and also explore the local culture and traditions with the people who live there, visiting a traditional fishing village. So this region is really, really interesting. It's so close to Rio de Janeiro, yet you see a completely different lifestyle with small towns and really just sustainable fishing, but so close to the hustle and bustle of Rio de Janeiro. So quite an interesting experience. And then with what we've fished, and if the group is able to catch anything themselves, then they'll be able to eat their own fish. If not, then we may need to rely on the expert fishermen who have dominated the region for quite some time to prepare a delicious seafood feast that will feel very well and rewarded after the beautiful and tiring but beautiful hike and fishing experience. In Ponta Negra, as I just mentioned, it is a beautiful fishing town, and now they, in addition to fishing, then they also work with ecotourism, allowing visitors into their community, sharing their experience, their history, their lifestyle. So we'll have some time to interact with them, learn a little bit more about their culture, and that's in the morning. In the afternoon, we'll visit Quilombo do Campino for another community experience. So in Quilombos in Brazil, what these are descendants from African slaves who have retreated and formed their own communities. They have a special status in Brazil, and they have very special culture and traditions that they're very proud of, that go from handcrafts to local dances and song. And we'll learn a lot about that, about their history, and about the how proud they are of their community and the region. They have a strong connection with the natural environment around them. So we'll learn how important that is for their lifestyle as well, and just have this really, really wonderful and deep cultural exchange. And President Lula has visited in the past and is a strong supporter of this Quilombo, as the pictures show. Iguaçu Falls side. From after that Quilombo experience, then we'll take a drive to São Paulo just to spend the evening. It's about a 4-5 hour drive. So that part of the evening is mainly just to rest, and for the next morning to be able to fly to Iguaçu Falls. And as Laura also mentioned, Iguaçu Falls, one of the destinations most sought after in Brazil. But the unique thing is that we'll be experiencing it on a much deeper level. A lot of people just go visit the traditional walkways, see the falls, take some pictures, but we'll also have a chance to interact with the local community there. On the first day, we'll mainly just be exploring the Brazilian side of the falls, which is much smaller than the Argentinian side of the falls. A short walkway, get some lovely, lovely pictures, about a half day. There is an option for a boat ride as well that can be purchased and decided right on the spot.
And I would highly recommend the boat optional add-on. It's quite an exhilarating experience to be right up and under these massive, powerful falls, and it's just a kind of giddy moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There is also, they do also offer helicopter rides that can also be, if
I'm not
anybody.
sure if those will fit into the itinerary as well. If anyone's interested, we could certainly look into it. But yeah, the boat ride is, I think, what we'd, like focus on recommending.
Very, very fascinating. Yeah. Not to be missed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. On the Argentinian side of the falls, it's much larger. So the Brazilian side of the falls kind of allows visitors to the long walkways. There are actually, Iguaçu Falls is actually made up of hundreds of falls. The Brazilian side, you're kind of viewing them from the bottom, whereas the Argentinian side, the Devil's Throat that it's called, this is what we're looking at, the picture here, the walkway. There, which we're hoping will be fixed by the time of the tour, because they had some flooding and it was recently washed out, but they've been, there's a lot of pressure for it to be fixed fairly soon. But the Argentinian side of the falls allows you to have a completely different perspective from the top of the falls. So you're looking down on what you would have seen the day before, and this is quite interesting. And like we say there, you see in the visit to the Devil's Throat, which is generally the highlight there. And after
I'm just going to jump in real quick here too. I would highly recommend anyone who hasn't heard of Iguaçu Falls, which is also sometimes spelled with a Z, Iguaçu Falls. That's the Spanish, I guess, spelling.
The Spanish way, yeah. Sometimes it's spelled with 2 S's as well.
Right, yes. Regardless of the spelling, Google it, check it out, look up some videos on YouTube. And also know that they'll never do it justice. It is truly one of the most stunning natural sites in the world, like hands down, after dozens and dozens of countries visited and many wondrous sightseeing. A lot of people haven't even heard of Iguaçu Falls and don't realize what an incredible highlight these 2 days are. It's just an absolute incredible experience and an incredible site to be able to explore. So yeah, highly
Yeah.
recommend looking into it a bit.
Absolutely. And one of the things that really took me aback when I visited Iguaçu Falls, I had visited Niagara Falls before, some other falls, but there's just so much buildup. But one thing that I really love about Iguaçu Falls, both on the Argentine and the Brazilian side, they've created reserve and park areas surrounding. So you are surrounded by forests. You're in nature, the way it was discovered, although they're both one among the most visited attractions in both Brazil and Argentina. It doesn't feel like you are in this massive tourism made for tourists kind of area. You really just do feel the presence, and you hear the sound of the falls, and you smell the air, the water rushing. It's really, really incredible in the surrounding forests. And the coatis, sort of like the South American raccoons, you have to watch out for. They're sneaking up on you and always are a hit with visitors as well.
Yeah, it's definitely a very immersive nature experience for sure. Okay, I just had to jump in with that because it was
Yeah,
one
of
of my
course.
all-time favorites.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful spot. Yeah. After visiting the Argentinian side of the falls, then we'll also have a lovely community experience with the Guarani community. So, as I just mentioned, the surrounding rainforest has been home to the Guarani indigenous population for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they will have a chance to go into their community, meet with them, learn a little bit about their lifestyle, about their traditions, their handcrafts, meet the head of the community, and also have lunch there, which will be very different from any other meal we will have tried. And just a really, really rich cultural exchange experience. So also not to be missed. And sorry to sort of add here, but one thing that I really love about this too is the Guarani experience is just so many people again visit Iguaçu Falls and just go to the falls, which is wonderful. But it's really, really interesting to meet with community members and just understand the completely different meaning that the falls in the region has for them. Not just tourism dollars or beautiful sights, but how it really integrates into their beliefs and everything. So that's really wonderful. And as a farewell, this is one of my favorite experiences in all of Brazil. We will have this amazing 6-course dinner demonstration by a world-renowned Brazilian chef. He has lived in various locations, both in Brazil and the world. And he starts this throughout these 6 courses. He talks all about the history of Brazil and how today's traditional modern cuisine in Brazil has come to be. So he begins by taking us to the Amazon, where the local fruits and vegetables and plants are the, and what he defends are the true Brazilian natural food. A lot of it today has been influenced by the Portuguese. So he takes us and tastes us. He shows us some different methods of cooking, some different tools. Among my favorites, the chipichi, made from straw. It's this big tuber that they use to extract manioc. And through each dish, he takes us through 300 400 years of history for the different influences and how this has shaped Brazilian cuisine today. So it's a very, very fun, relaxed environment with some music and also some delicious wine and a really, really great time to end our trip. So talking about the accommodations here, and I don't know if you wanted to jump in there.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thanks for taking us through the trip. We just wanted to kind of touch on, and show some examples of the different accommodations. We always seek, 3 to 4 star boutique experiences. We're not staying at any chain hotels, and we look for places that have a lot of unique flavor, locally kind of family run. type places, and yeah, some really beautiful accommodations as well. So you can choose to share a room with another solo guest if you're joining independently, or you can also select to have your own room. And then, yeah, we will partner you up accordingly. We've touched a little bit on it, but just to kind of double down on the food in Brazil, because it is such a unique highlight and there's so much different kinds of food to experience. Do you want to go into any more details there, Megan?
Oh, it's just I could talk about this all day. I love the food in Brazil. Yeah, we have, I mean, from Paraty, of course, being on the coastline, and there's a lot of influence, like we talked about the fishing community. Here we see this sort of bowl. I believe it's moqueca, which is a famous dish served throughout most of Brazil. From coconut milk. It's kind of a stew with coconut milk and different seafood, generally shrimp and fish. Always some alternative vegetarian and vegan options available. Important to say, I believe, as well. So good for us to know about those ahead of time. Then, as I mentioned, in Iguaçu Falls, we have some different, through the last cooking class, then we'll have some different experiences to trying, from acai, for example, and that kind of thing. Yeah, the seasons and the weather. So Brazil, I mean, these regions, Iguaçu Falls, Rio, and Paraty can kind of be visited any time of year. But as Laura mentioned, then we've selected the best time to the off season to benefit, of course, the communities in the off season, but also to not have so many people around. But clothing, I mean, it will be fairly warm, so relaxed, comfortable clothing. There's quite a bit of humidity as well. Laura, I don't know if you want to jump in here as well and just talk about some other tips.
Yeah, I mean, you're touching on it all so far.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I see about cash as well. We mentioned this particularly because of the local smaller communities. In the bigger cities such as Paraty and Rio, then if those places will take card now, debit or credit card. But yeah, it is always good to have cash on hand. Immunizations, we do recommend always the yellow fever vaccine for visiting Brazil. It is not mandatory to enter Brazil, but highly recommended. Although we won't be spending a lot of time in the city, that's where yellow fever tends to be more severe. Yeah, and then ethical travel, I believe Laura's already commented a little bit. It's
yeah, and we, for all of our guests, we supply a pretty in-depth welcome pack that goes a lot more into all of these different areas and tips and advice and cultural kind of tips and information, to help you, blend in the culture and etiquette and things like that, which is always good to be mindful of when traveling to a new country, and we try and help you to be aware of those things. So yeah, we're wrapping things up here. So are there any questions that anyone has regarding Brazil and our itinerary or Traverse Journeys? Now is the time. So I just want to, as we're seeing if any, go ahead, Anne-Marie.
Hi. Hi. Yeah, and I have a lot of questions, so I hope that it's okay. No, I'm very interested in this trip, and I have traveled with Traverse before, and it was an amazing experience. So first of all, the group size and the group composition. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our trips have a minimum guest count of about 4. Sometimes it's 6, but usually 4. And then they max out anywhere from like 12 to 14 guests usually. And then, so that's kind of the group size. So in general, 6 to 10 is where a lot of our trips end up falling and running with, 6 to 10 guests on them. And in terms of the makeup of the trip, It does vary. You know, we get people that are in their 30s and 40s. We get people that are in their 60s and 70s. And we like to have, you know, the variety on our trips. It adds kind of a nice feel to the little family that's created throughout the week. We do tend to get a lot more female signups than male, but you know, that's neither here nor there. It's just how how it ends up being. Yeah, does that answer most of the questions?
Solo travelers versus like people that come with a friend or with like a partner?
That's a great question. Yeah, we get that question a lot. I would say at least half, if not more, across the board on all of our trips are usually solo travelers, people who sign up on their own independently. That's really what a lot of times these group trips are for, is people that want to travel with other people, but don't have someone necessarily, you know, in their repertoire to travel with. So yeah, it provides the opportunity for solo independent travelers to have, you know, a shared experience. That being said, we do get occasional, you know, couples or friends or, you know, family, mother, daughter, or something like that might sit together. So yeah, it's on any given trip, usually it's primarily solo and independent travelers with maybe a few that sprinkled in that signed up together.
Great. Yeah, that's kind of like what well, the trip that I did was only women, was a women's only trip, like, so we were all on our own, but just wanted to check. And then the other question that I had, is it okay to ask another one?
Yeah, go for it, please.
Okay. So like, indeed, Brazil is a big country and I have no idea like about these distances like that you are describing. Like I wrote down the itinerary, but like how much driving is there actually going to be like every day? And is it pretty much like every day sleeping in a different hotel?
Yeah, we do have 2 nights in Paraty. We have a few nights in Iguaçu. So within our 8-day trip, we already have 2 places that we're spending more than 1 night. Megan, do you want to kind of touch on the distances between?
Yeah, sure. Between Paraty and Rio, it's about a 4-hour drive. So that day, half the day would be dedicated towards driving. It is quite a beautiful drive. And then between Paraty and the fishing community, Ponta Negra, there's a short drive to get to the beginning of the trek, and then it's trekking. So there isn't a whole lot of driving that day. They will, on the night that leaving the community to go to São Paulo, there'll be quite a bit of driving that day as well. It is sort of the end of the afternoon, so most people will probably sleep during the drive. It will be a night drive, and that's about 5 hours. So that's another day that there'll be a little bit.
So not too bad.
Yeah,
that's fine. Okay, and then my last question is about the add-on in Rio. Yes, I understand what you're saying about like, that you tend to stay away from like the big touristy things. But if I come to Brazil, I don't know if I'm going to be back there. So I would like to see Rio. So how would that work, like to do an add-on? Because like on the trip that I've been on with Traverse, there was like kind of like some suggestions that you included in the package. Like, is that something that you would organize for the group, like with a guide? I would not be comfortable to walk around in Rio on my own. I guess that's my problem. So like, what would that look like if there would be an add-on in Rio?
Yeah, thank you for addressing that. It's some of our trips have like a very set add-on itinerary, you know, where it's a package sort of that's already all determined. For Rio, instead of that doing like this set package, what we're just offering is to help organize these sort of guided activities for you. So obviously organizing your accommodation in Rio with our, you know, trusted, recommended hotels. And then also, you know, different people might have different desires of what they'd want to do in Rio. There's so much to explore, obviously. So whether you want to hike up to Sugarloaf Mountain or you want to do, you know, more of a walking tour or something culinary or, you know, all these different options. What we would do is kind of, you know, based on your interests, organize guided activities for you so that, you're not we're not just giving you tips to like explore the city on your own. I guess you could do that too if someone was keen to. Yeah, more than that, we'd be looking to have you join guided activities that we can organize for you.
Okay, great.
Is there
Sounds
anything
great.
you can add there, Megan, in terms of?
No, actually, I think you, I should, well, actually, sorry, just touching on the question of safety as well,
Yeah.
that you didn't directly address, Anne-Marie, but I think it's important to note as well. Rio de Janeiro, Copacabana is quite Rio does get kind of a bad reputation because of the favelas and such. Copacabana, there are always lots of people on the boardwalk. Nowhere is going to be 100% safe. So, of course, we can't guarantee that. There are a few different precautions that I'm sure will be in the information packet, such as not walking with your phone in your hand or not taking a lot of, not having so much cash on you or, walking with expensive jewelry, that kind of thing. But there are lots of people always on the boardwalk. There are lots of shops, lots of little bars. It is okay to walk around on your own. But yeah, just using these precautions. But
sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be a smart traveler.
Yeah, exactly. And in all of the other regions, Paraty is very fine. All of the other regions are quite safe.
Okay.
We would, the itinerary is built precisely not to take you to any unsafe places.
And also, if there's multiple guests that are joining a couple days before the trip, and doing some video activities, you'll be at the same accommodations. And even if you're doing different activities during the day, you'll be able to connect and, share, going out for dinner together, perhaps, or, things like that. And if you're doing the same activities, then obviously, you'll be together for those. Did you have any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Those are great questions. Anyone else want to ask anything? Now is the time. So our group dates for Brazil are October 20th through the 27th of this year. We do also have the ability to offer custom dates. If you have a group or a family or a group of friends that want to do this trip on your own and choose your own dates, we can accommodate that. I just wanted to mention. So to all those who stayed with us to the end, your discount for joining today, you'll have $200 off an individual booking, or if you are booking with another person, you can have $500 off the two of you, so $250 each. So you just use the code Brazil Live on your booking form. The discount is applied to your following invoice, not to your initial deposit. And the deposit is just $250 to secure your spot, and then there's payment plan for the remaining balance of the trip. The discount code is just good into the end of this month, leap year day of February 29th. So be sure to jump on that if you'd like to secure your spot on this trip. And if you do want to do a custom date trip, we offer $100 off using this Brazil Live discount code. So if there's no other questions, that brings us to the end of our Brazil event. We do have some other events coming up soon for other destinations and trips that we offer. So on February 28th, we'll be talking about Cyprus. On March 4th, Cuba Women's Retreat, March 11th in Italy. So whether you joined us through Eventbrite or finding out about it through Meetup, you can look on Meetup or Eventbrite to find out the details on these upcoming events and RSVP for those. I think that's everything that we have for you today. So thank you, Megan, very much for giving us a lovely virtual tour of Brazil and our itinerary. And thanks everyone else for joining and for watching the recording afterwards. And we hope to see you in Brazil.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Any more questions? All right. Thank you.